Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of DiabloCast, your Diablo 3 podcast. It is Friday, February 24th. Happy to be back. I am, as always, your host, Dennis Force Duhamel, and with me this week we have got Kevin Sixon Carlino. Hello, Kevin.
What's up, guys?
And Jesse Cox. He's back. Jesse, how you doing?
Gentlemen, hello.
And lady. There's probably one.
I hope so.
I was referring to you two. If there's a woman in this chat, I think we should know about it, right?
Untold
Hello, those
secrets.
listening.
Untold secrets, Jesse.
I was a little worried. I was like, what? Oh, hold up.
So this week, we have quite a lot to talk about. We're going to be, firstly, quickly mentioning the art contest, also CBIT. I'll get you more information on that. Regional beta keys going out, as well as a massive beta key giveaway going on computerandvideogames.com. Thousands of keys, as it were. A message from Jay Wilson, and then, of course, some discussion about patch number 13, skill and rune changes. The addition of the chat channels, all sorts of stuff took place. Let's start off with the first topic, which is going to be the art contest. Blizzard loves hosting art contests, and they will be hosting another one. This coming up art contest is going to be for a portrait. You're supposed to be essentially making a portrait of your favorite thing in the world of Sanctuary. It can be anything you like, whatever you like about Sanctuary. If you like the Monk, the Barbarian, which is the coolest class. Are any of you artists, do either of you draw?
I love to draw. I'm just horrible at it, so I never do.
So that doesn't matter. Jesse, how about you?
The extent of my drawing ability is through high school and college doodles on the side of my notebooks when I should have been taking notes or studying.
Oh, man.
So that's the extent of my drawing ability. I can make really good, like, bears and bumblebees and stick figures shooting themselves in the head.
I mean, I'm good at making stick figures and squares and circles and triangles.
And circles and all sorts.
Yeah,
so,
all those things.
So basically, not of you or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I do the majority of my artwork when I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, for those of you out there who are talented artistes and you'd like to enter, go right ahead, give it a shot. It has to be, the portrait is supposed to be 1600 by 1200, no larger than 5 megabytes, and just a portrait of whatever you like in Sanctuary. And I don't even know, actually, I don't see any prizes listed here.
That's
maybe the prize is the artwork itself.
All right, we will feature the most impressive pieces on the Diablo 3 community site, and the very best pieces could win some equally impressive prizes. Thanks for being super descriptive. I really appreciate it.
So I guess it depends on how cool your picture is.
If
it's not all that cool, you don't get anything all that cool.
So basically what they're saying is that if no one submits anything that's decent, they're just not going to give anything to anybody. Like, well, you guys submitted crap, so... Yep.
Here's a piece of crap.
I don't know what to tell you guys. It's so weird, though. There's no incentive. I don't see the incentive right now. Like, I don't see the incentive for someone to try to put time and effort into this if they're not even going to list the prizes. I suppose being featured on the website is pretty awesome. I mean, that's got to be decent for your career, huh?
Yeah, but I mean, you could always submit fan art and just have it featured on the website. There's, the whole fan art section, and they just do that on a regular basis. So I don't know. I'm assuming that they're going to have like a follow-up post, because I mean there's also like no rules or anything.
And that kind of makes me feel bad for all these guys who are in the current fan art section. They're like, wow, we did all this and we get nothing for it.
Yeah, right.
That's funny. Yeah, so actually, I don't know. Submit fan art and you could win something awesome.
This is mildly off topic, but I think that's actually why Machinima, like not the company, but the actual process and production, has decreased drastically, because originally it was a fan expressive, like an expressive form of artwork. You would, as a fan, would make some movie or whatever, and then there were all these contests and all these things, and now people will not make machinima, like big machinima, unless they can win something from it. Like just notice that in the last 2 years, really no one's actually trying to, like, there's a few that get like, oh, well, here's a trailer for it, but it never actually gets finished. Like, without that, oh, you could win money. No one, I'm telling you, I think that's the same thing. That, fan artwork is the fan art, man. People do that no matter what.
Yeah.
And
you don't need all the incentivize fan art.
Yeah. Fan art is different.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess we'll probably just wait. Like Kevin said, there's probably going to be some more information in the future. Right now, there's absolutely nothing for us to go on. So all I can tell you is that there's a contest going on, and I don't know.
Good news story.
You might win something. It's possible.
Something is happening, and you may get something from it.
Right. Cbit. Kevin, why don't you tell us a little bit about this convention that Blizzard's going to be at?
Sure. I'm now that you say it, I'm actually really curious what it stands for. But anyway, it's basically it's CBIT 2012, where they're having the Intel Extreme Masters Season 6 World Championship. So it's a StarCraft 2 tournament, and I'm sure that there's other games there, but obviously Blizzard's StarCraft 2. However, they are showing off the Diablo 3 beta at this event, which explains why some of the members of the community team, like Bashiok and Zarham, are over there, helping out the EU team. Mm-hmm. Whether or not they're going to do anything else there, Blizzard loves to show off release dates at these weird little events. Not just really release dates, I guess, but announcements. Diablo 3 was announced at Worldwide Invitational in 2008. So Blizzard likes these little events, I guess. Although I'm not saying expect anything, but then again, with Jay Wilson saying that something's happening in the very near future, it seems like it lines up relatively well since this is on March 6th. So, I don't know, maybe just something to look out for.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a possibility. In addition to that, if for those of you who happen to attend the event, it's going to be taking place in Hanover, Germany. For those of you who attend CBIT this year, you not only get a chance to play the beta, like Kevin said, but there's a chance to win beta keys as well. So, I mean, this is a great opportunity. If you're going to the event anyways for StarCraft 2, swing by, try out the beta. You can get a chance to win some D3 beta keys. Why not, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not making it over to Hanover, Germany anytime soon, but unless Blizzard wants to fly me out there, Blizzard, the offer's on the table. Let me know. Regional beta keys. Speaking of beta keys, regional beta keys are starting to go out now on Diablo 3 fan sites overseas. There was a post on the European Diablo 3 forums, just make sure I can find it here, that says list basically off a bunch of sites that are going to be giving some keys away. So that's exciting. More fan site beta keys to be had. I know a lot of people overseas were kind of, I don't know, I guess I'd say upset. I could say the word is upset about the 100,000 beta keys that went out to North American players, and then of course all those North American sites just last week. Was it last week? It feels like it's been forever. I think it was last week. I think last week we got all of our keys to give away, 450 keys each, and so now some European sites are going to have some keys to give away as well. That's awesome.
Does this seem like?
Go ahead.
Does this seem like an exorbitantly large amount of beta keys?
I think they're trying to rebuild the hype. Because if you look at the excitement behind the game, obviously I'm equally excited forever to infinity, but for the general community, there's that huge spike in hype in September when the beta first hit, and everyone was all stoked about it, and then it's really died off since. I think this is an attempt to get some fire under people's butts and get them excited about the game.
Not only that, but I still think that this is, in essence, a stress test. They're still stress testing with their own systems, the auction house, but they're also inviting, ridiculous amounts of people at this point. We know that they're getting ready to release announce a release date relatively soon. Yeah,
they're releasing an announced date.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I read in one of the chats right after I saw the Jay Wilson post go up, and they're like, "Great, Jay Wilson released a release for a release date." That's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, what do you agree with that, Jesse? Do you think it could be something else?
No, I originally would have said this is a sign that we're really close. I'm sticking to my May 8th date.
May 8th.
That's my prediction. My prediction. That was my prediction. And we're getting close. That's the sign I would get from it. But at the same time, I've noticed a trend where a lot of games, especially online games, are releasing more and more and more beta keys, and I think it's to generate hype for the game. So I don't know if this is just something that they're doing just to do it, or if this is really a sign that it's coming. It's down the road here. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you about the beta thing. I think beta is becoming a huge part of the process now, especially for PC games are online-focused games. I mean, like Guild Wars 2, they're going to be having gigantic beta testing over the next couple of months.
Right.
Lots of games are definitely. I mean, and then you even look at something like Minecraft, which was in beta and got incredibly popular
for the majority of its. Yeah, it's been in beta. It was in beta for the majority of its time public. Now.
Yeah.
Right. And I think I think it's all about hype building. If a company, they I don't know, it's weird because you figure a beta is, it used to be a private thing where people would go on and give feedback, and now it's get as much feedback as possible kind of events where it's, if you won the beta, sure, come on in. You could, like Terra, I think there's the Terra online beta this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, if you pre-order the game, you're in the beta. And so it's like, what? Then is it really a beta? Right?
Yeah, they did that for StarCraft 2, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, they do that for a lot of games now. So I wonder if that's just the general trend. Because, like I said, originally, if this was a few years ago, I would have been like, beta. We got all these beta keys going out. This is it. We're on the path. Diablo 3 is right around the corner. And now it's just like, well, it's just another beta, because everyone's doing it. So I don't know. I don't know what sending out hundreds of thousands of keys really tells us, except for it's probably a stress test.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's definitely, I think it's, right on both fronts. It's definitely dual purpose. It does do its job of stressing the servers, but it also certainly helps to build hype, especially. It's interesting because the beta's essentially been the same for the longest time. They've added tweaks here and there.
Right.
And obviously there were some major changes in the last patch, but the content of the beta is still the same. So the fact that people are still excited about it, that has to do a lot in the fact that keys are going out and people have a chance to win and actually get to play it, even though they've likely already seen all of it. It's certainly not the same experience as getting your hands on it, so... Yeah, it's interesting. It's certainly an interesting trend that's happening a lot for a lot of games. Like I said, especially PC games. Although I guess I can't think of beta. Is there a lot of beta testing for console games? Probably not, huh?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, they did a beta for Gears of War 3. That was pretty much the only one I know about recently.
Right. I know for a console they get a lot of early demos. I know that happens a lot, but. Yeah, I don't think the betas for the consoles happen so much. That's interesting. And speaking of beta keys, before we move on, I did want to let everyone know as well that CVG, Computer and Video Games, has got thousands of keys to give away, so you can stop bugging me for them. I'm just kidding. Thousands of keys given away at computerandvideogames.com starting next week. Monday, February 27th, they are going to go ahead and start giving away those keys. So head on over to computerandvideogames.com. And let's just to be a little more descriptive here. How do you get your hands on one? We'll be announcing exact details first thing next week. But rest assured, loyal CVG readers will have the best chance. So I'm assuming that if you've been registered for their site for a while, that would deem you as a loyal CVG reader, and subsequently you'd have a good chance of getting keys. I think they're still going to give keys away to everyone, but it looks like there'll be more hoops to jump through or something. But yeah, more and more beta keys. In fact, interestingly enough, there is a possibility that there will be second waves of beta keys going out. I know we just had those 450 keys to a lot of the fan sites around here, the U.S. fan sites, but there might even be another wave. It's up in the air. No exact details, but it is crazy. It is. There's so much beta. It's too much beta, I think.
You can never
just give us the game.
Beta.
Right, I know. I don't. It's funny. And a message from Jay Wilson. Jay Wilson wants everyone to know that they're working hard on the game, but also that it's coming along nice. And we've got an announcement sometime in the near future. Not soon, but sometime in the near future. So a little message from Jay Wilson was posted up on the forums, the U.S. Diablo 3 forums here by Dax Ari, and just stating basically what I said. I don't know. Was there anything else to really add, Kevin? He said the game's going along good, and they've got a release date in the near future. Hope you're excited.
Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, he said they have a full build in their offices that everybody's enjoying playing, and it's a great game when you have to tell employees to stop playing the game so they can do their job. But yeah, basically it's coming not soon, but in the near future, which is kind of why it almost lines up with the CBIT thing, but I don't know, relatively soon. I'm assuming sometime within the next couple weeks, and then the game should be out by end of Mid-May, something along those lines. Yeah, actually, while we're on this topic, where are you pulling the 8th from?
3 weeks ago, 4 weeks, sometime weeks ago, we were talking about something, and I just decided that May 8th was the date. Yeah. I have nothing to back. There's nothing to back this up. I'm just saying May 8th is the date.
I mean, I'm looking at it like it's a Thursday, and I don't really see them doing it like at the end of the week.
Around
I'm
May
like,
8th.
wow, like the 8th. That's a really interesting one. I'm curious.
All right, May 6th. I don't know. May 9th. Around that. Because I remember it was something that we had read. It was a news article that basically said that there was a full build and that they had finished up all the major changes they were going to make, and the next big announcement was going to be that they're going gold.
Yeah.
And I was like, whenever that's said, even if they say that in March, right, you need at least a month, maybe a month and a half of getting it shipped out to everyone, everything good. So that's why I was like, May 8th. Right? And I'm sticking to that date. I'm going, why not? Why not?
I see no reason why they wouldn't do that. They'll probably do it on May 8th just because you said so.
Just because. Yeah, obviously.
I'm sure.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go, guys. Message from Jay Wilson. We're getting a release date sometime in the year. I'm so tired of guessing. I don't even want to anymore.
That's why I said there's
I'm
no
just
point.
Gonna wait.
May 8th is the day.
Yeah, there's no guesswork. We know. Courtesy of Jesse Cox.
Yeah, remember back in the day.
Patch number 13. Oh my gosh, major changes took place with this. Obviously, we have a hefty amount to talk about. Changes to the skill and the rune system. Pretty significant changes to the rune system. Lots of implications behind that. Also, we'll be going over, just various small things as well. Chat channels, which to some people is huge. To me, it's pretty small. I understand the importance of chat channels, but I don't see people are really freaking out about their current implementation, and we'll talk about why as well. I guess we'll start off with the first thing. Why don't we start off by talking about the rune system? All right. So the rune system, as I'm sure any of you listening to this right now already know, let's just rehash it for a quick moment. Runestones completely removed from the game. We used to have 5 different runestones. There was also the possibility of unattuned runestones. But for argument's sake, we used to have 5 runestones with 7 levels of them, 1 through 7, changing in effectiveness and all that. Those were dropped out the game just like any piece of gear or any item, and you would pick them up and you'd put them in your skills and you'd get X effect for whatever skill you put it into. Now, it's kind of like Kevin, speaking to Kevin, he likened it to, what was it, Modern Warfare or Call of Duty system? Yeah,
the Modern Warfare 3 system.
So,
would you like me to
go ahead and explain the...
So basically in Modern Warfare 3, for any of you who haven't played it, each of your weapons level up, which this is the only part that really doesn't add up. So each of your weapons get certain levels, and you unlock weapon proficiencies, and these proficiencies are just different, not specifically attachments, but just stuff like reduced kick or recoil. So like when you shoot, you get obviously reduced recoil. So you can think of it in that sense. When your character levels up, you unlock different proficiencies for your spells, and these proficiencies are skill runes. So for example, when you hit say level 6, you unlock X rune for Y skill. And they just do that up until you hit level 60.
Right. And I am actually going to make sure, I'm going to pull up the beta here for people, just like another skill tree. It's not really a tree, but you know what I mean? You level up and you unlock. It works exactly like skills do, except they're now directly tied to certain skills. You've got the secondary skill system that you unlock.
It's like Inception.
What was that?
It's a skill. It's like Inception. It's a skill within a skill.
Yeah.
That should have been the name of the podcast, obviously.
I heard you like skills, so we put skills inside your skills. No, that's it's true though. It's true. You level up and you unlock the skill runes at the stats from what used to be level 4 or 5 runestones, and in the new static skill rune system, that's what the effectiveness of that ability is. So that's a whole issue too. There's been so many complaints or points brought up about this current system and this current iteration. Let me just ask you first, Kevin. What do you think about this new system in comparison to the old system? Overall, what's your general feeling on it?
I'm kind of on the fence, I guess. On the one hand, I do like it better than what they had proposed. The whole items drop, and then we have affixes, and we have unattuned runes, and it's random, and you never know what the hell skill you get. I wasn't a fan of that at all, and I would much prefer this system. On the other hand, I did kind of like the idea of itemizing the runes. So in that sense, we kind of lose out. But other than the fact that runes aren't being itemized, we pretty much have the same exact system. The only difference is, and I believe Bashiok put it this way in one of his posts, it'll take you 2 hours to rune up instead of 2 weeks. And really that's the difference. Now you don't have to worry about finding level X rune of whatever type you need. Instead, you just level up to 60, and then boom, you're good to go. And I don't know, I guess it kind of does relate back to what they were saying. They really just wanted to make customizations for the skill system that you can now do. And it was as simple as that. They were just trying to stress itemization way too much because itemization is obviously a major playing point in Diablo 3, but I don't know. I guess we'll just kind of have to wait and see, because at the same time, we didn't really ever play with the runes when they were items, so it's kind of hard to say. But I'm not disappointed. Yeah. I'm just not ecstatic. I mean, I'm okay with it. I don't have any issues.
I think my biggest issue with what was the Runestone system prior to this was that to get a build or to get an ability that you want, you had to find a runestone for that ability. So if I wanted a leap attack and I wanted the ability to damage enemies near me when I leap into the air, that's one of the skill runes abilities. Right now, I just have to get to level 43, and I have access to that ability with that function. In the past, I would have to find a rune, and if I didn't find a rune, I could not use that skill until I found a rune to put in leap attack that gave me that effect. I couldn't use it. That was kind of the issue that I had with the last system. This seems to resolve it, but I also understand all the customization that we're losing as a result, because we lose those varying levels. We lose levels 1 through 7. We're never going to have what at one point in testing within the world of Blizzard, the level 7 effectiveness runes. We'll never have access to that because all these skill runes now are around level 4 or 5. So people are worried that it's taking away customization. People are also worried that we're losing the item hunt. But I don't really necessarily agree with that statement because of the fact that it's not like our gear and weapons no longer dropping. I'm pretty sure that stuff's still happening. So we still have an item hunt. And before I rant too much further, Jesse, how do you think overall this change is going to affect the gameplay, or what's your personal opinion on this new change?
Have you guys had the chance to actually see what all the different runes that they have do?
Well, there's only so much in the beta. Actually, I did a video series that showed them because level 13 is the max, so all the skills available up to level 13 I did a series on, but all of them no.
Well, because here's my concern. I don't know. I guess it might be something that I'm overthinking, because I tend to do that, which is shocking, I know. But they have a bunch of screenshots, and one of them is of it's a monk with a Fists of Thunder, and then the Bounding Light skill rune, and it's a tooltip, and it shows all the different cool things that are there, but it shows skill runes, and it goes 13, 20, 26, 35, and I'm curious if no matter what, the 35 will always be better than what's below it.
It won't be better, it's just different. Let me give
I'm thinking theory crafting wise, because someone's going to do this.
Right.
Someone's going to go through and figure out the percentages of all the different things that are available.
Sure.
Fists of Thunder and Bounding Light, every third hit, right, knocks enemies back. But if you stick Bounding Light on there, it does a chain lightning instead of knocking enemies back.
Right.
Right.
You also have to take into account, the cost of resource and.
Right, and so I'm saying someone's going to go through, because it will happen. Someone's going to go through and determine what the best is, and I wonder if that will hurt the rune system itself, because the runes are there to make your character different.
Right.
Right? It's to make your character stand out and be different, and I wonder if when that time comes, because it will, and someone says, this is how you play your character, if you don't have it like this, you're a complete, scrub.
I mean, that'll happen. There's always going to be theory crafters and the hardcore players who try to completely 100% optimize everything. But I think that what's been stated by Blizzard is that if that occurs, they've basically said that they failed at doing their job. I think what they're trying to do is make it so that it's not so much about this is going to be the most effective thing to do. It's going to be more like I like the style of using this ability in this way. And they've said that if it gets to a point where every barbarian or whatever is using the exact same build, then they haven't done their job, and they're going to balance it so that that's not the case. I think it's supposed to be more like okay, let's just say this is gonna be really bad. Let's just say that Threatening Shout is an ice cream. Well, the runes are supposed to be different flavors of ice cream.
Pretty
and
much
then
gonna
Ground
use the same
Stomp is a piece of meat, but then it could be pot roast, or it could be ribs. I'm just making stuff up, but you know what I mean. It's supposed to be the rune system is supposed to be more like different flavors to the general skill, as opposed to be like this is far superior. Like for Threatening Shout by itself reduces the damage enemies do around you. So let's look at the skill runes for that. First skill rune, Grim Harvest, gives additional chance for them to drop treasure, 5% additional chance. Second skill rune, Falter, affected enemies also have their attack speed reduced by 15%. Third skill rune, Threatening Shout, affected enemies move slower. They have a snare attached to them, movement speed is slowed. The fourth skill rune, Demoralize, affected enemies are also taunted to attack you. And then the last skill rune, Terrify, enemies are severely demoralized. Enemy has 20% chance to flee for 2 seconds, so that adds like a fear to it. So, I mean, just looking at that, you can see, okay, it doesn't seem like it's just a different style of the same ability. Am I being clear at all or coherent at all?
No, you are. And I mean, I think your analogies, metaphors, whatever they were completely apt, and it makes sense. And what you just described is the perfect example of that, where you have 5 different things that are unique and different, and none of them really say like you need this in order to be good at the game. It's I don't know. It's an inherent fear I have when it comes to online gaming, where they have special things you can make your character better with.
Right.
Because
it's not even make your character better. It's just make a character different.
Right.
It's customization.
But that customization is I understand Blizzard's philosophy of getting away from it, because they're doing that in WoW too, where the skill, the trees and stuff, the skill trees, a lot of that was, we're going to give you options, but then no one ever took the options. They just went on, like elitist jerks or whatever, and looked up the best tree.
Yeah.
And then went that way.
That's what I do.
So, right, that's exactly what I do too. And so then you see the new things like that's coming out with Mists of Pandaria, and then with Diablo 3, and you have this system where they're specifically saying, look, we don't want you to do that. I guess my hope is that the system they've set up prevents that from happening. Like, I don't want it to happen. I'd rather not be told how to play the game that I just paid for and want to enjoy.
Right.
But if I'm going online and if I want to go to super duper hard modes, I'd like to be able to, run stuff with people and not be told, oh my god, your character sucks so bad.
I mean,
like, it gets old.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, on the other side of that, Diablo, the great thing about Diablo is that it's not all about being optimal, it's about being viable. So I mean, I can't tell you how many ridiculous builds I had in Diablo 2. Like, perfect example, I made a healing paladin. Literally, I did no damage. I just shot Holy Bolt and had prayer on. So I just healed everybody. Like, I was a sick support class.
Way to be a Nancy, Kevin.
Yeah. I mean, but seriously, like, I did that just to see if it was possible. I mean, obviously I couldn't solo anything, but...
And, it's one thing
fun.
to say that that's what the game is. It's another thing to actually put systems in place that are going to make that true. And I think that this is the design that they're going with has that potential, because it's definitely true, as we've all said. If you look at RPGs, games of that nature, with a skill tree, like WoW was, like a lot of MMOs are, or like a lot of RPGs are, you get a tree and you work your way down. In any system like that, there is always an optimal build. In WoW, if I was a warrior and I wanted to tank, there was a spec that I had to do. And there was always room for a little bit of deviation, but it wasn't much. Maybe I took extra crit as opposed to having a little bit of extra armor or something like that. Like, there was always a slight room for change, but not much. You always, with a skill tree, you always there was always optimal builds. And if you didn't use it, it was a problem for your group because it meant that you weren't being optimal and you would die. I think that the way they're doing this, they're making it in a way such as that it's not going to be that case. Again, it's like the different flavors of ice cream. I'm still going to throw this ice cream at that demon, but now instead of slowing him up, I'll have an extra % chance for him to drop more gold or something, or whatever. For him to throw the ice cream back at me so I can eat it. There's all sorts of options. It's interesting, and you know what? I hope that what they're trying to do actually succeeds. And like I said, agree, yeah. I've read that if it doesn't, then they're going to tweak it until it does. At least that's what they plan to do.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Bashiok make a lot of responses towards the issues that people are bringing up with the runestones or the skill rune system now. And I mean, it definitely seems like they're dead set on keeping this system in. They want to keep this, and they just want to they're content with what they did. They like it and they want to ship. Like, that's just kind of what because I don't think I've really seen him defend the Runestone system anywhere near as much as he is with this. Right. Although, I don't know, maybe because they are getting close. I don't know. I'm just pointing that observation out.
Yeah. But to go to the basics, back to you, Jesse. Just do you think you're going to enjoy this system? Do you think you would have enjoyed the Runestone system better? Would you prefer?
I like this one better, honestly. Yeah. I like the. I'm one of those gamers who believes he has a lot of free time and wants to go out and find everything there is to find, but when it comes down to real life, I'm always like, I'll do it later, and then a week goes by.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I probably should have went and farmed that thing. So it's nice that I don't have to go hunt stuff down. I'm okay with that. I'm good.
You know what I'm super excited for, too? I think one of the biggest problems prior to this current iteration of the rune system, one of the biggest problems that I had with the varying levels of runes is the huge imbalances that could have come from PvP. With this new system, whether or not it's going to happen is another, it's a whole nother conversation. But if at some point they decide to look more into balancing PvP and making it competitive, they actually have a chance with this system. With the prior system, it would have been impossible. Someone with a level 1 rune would have gotten destroyed by someone that had a level 7 rune on the same ability. There would have just been too much of a difference between the two. But with a set rune system and set skills, the only thing altering your damage now is going to be the gear, and that's fine. It's an RPG. That makes sense. But now they actually have a better chance of balancing PvP, and that would be glorious because we still have to do that hardcore PvP battle royale that Jesse
get on it, Blizz. Get on it. That's my dream. That is. I wonder if all these changes are for that reason. Not my epic battle royale, but the fact that in the beginning they were like, we're not too concerned about PvP. For Diablo 3 PvP will be its own thing, but I wonder if somewhere along the line they thought we really can make something out of this, and that's why we have the changes.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great. I would absolutely love that. I tell you, that's something. It's so funny because you have these. I know this happens to everybody, and you see these games that are about to come out, and you get this fantasy in your head of what this game could possibly be, and many times it's not the case. It really hasn't been the case much with Blizzard games, but many times a game will come out and it's nowhere near what I wanted it to be or what I thought it was going to be, and in my head I just think Diablo 3. Commentating PvP, having PvP tournaments, that would be the funnest crap in the world. I would just have a ball doing something like that. And it makes me super sad on the inside that's not going to be the case at launch. But I'm still holding out hope for the future. And I hope that eventually they come around and they're like, wow, this Force guy was smart. We should do this.
Hey, you know what? Rob Simpson, in one of his esports interviews at MLG, said that if the community wants it, then the community's going to get it. And then he kind of did, like one of those little aside things, where he winked at the camera and he's like, all right, so, go on the forums and tell them that you want PvP, like one of them little things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if the community wants it, I don't see them purposely going out of their way to stop the community from having it.
Right.
That's just my 2 cents.
Right.
Hardcore gladiatorial combat.
Do it.
Needs to be done.
Jay Wilson did say that he wanted to have that.
I'm telling you, it needs to, that alone could just spark it into. I mean, seriously, you get give them 2 months to create the best character they can, and if their character dies, he's gone forever. That's it. Like, that would be the greatest, because you could feel the defeat.
I know.
Just put that on the web, put that on TV, they'd make a fortune. They would make a fortune.
And along the same vein of the skill rune stuff, I also just did want to mention the new categorizing of skills. It's nothing significant. The UI right now is a mess. I'm just gonna say that. It's so clumsy right now, the way the UI system works. Let me just show you guys here. I need to show you this. I'm gonna bring this up. So by default, this is how the system is working. You go into the game and you've got these different categories. There's primary and secondary attacks, which are bound to your left and right mouse button. And then you've got hotkey bar skills 1 through 4. The first one is defensive, and then it goes into 3 character specific. So for the Demon Hunter, archery, devices, and shadow. And this is all. So basically what happens is you go into your skill here, and if I want to do a primary stat, by default I only have access to these 3. So that's kind of weird. But then the whole switching thing is also a hassle. If I want to... Let me just show you this. If I want to switch, so you can see I've got Vault over here bound to the first hotkey. If I want to put Vault on my right mouse button, I, first of all, have to go back and go into Elective Mode and select it to even have that option. I'm sure you're super confused right now, Jesse, but Jesse hasn't had much of a chance to play through with this yet.
I downloaded it and made a new character and was like, oh, I'll get to it.
So if I wanted to put Vault on my right mouse button right now, in Elective Mode I can switch through between secondary, defensive, archery, primary, secondary, defensive, and then the 3 character specific ones. If I wanted to put Vault on my right mouse button, I can't do that right now, because it's bound to the first hotkey. So I have to go out of here, unbind Vault from the first hotkey to something that's not already bound. So I'll put it on Evasive Fire, and then I can go to the right mouse button and finally put Vault on it. Very, very clumsy system right now. I don't understand. What they need to do is, if I want to put... Alright, so again, an example. I've got Strafe right now bound to hotkey number 2. As you can see right here, hotkey 2. It's bound to Strafe. If I wanted to change Strafe to hotkey 1, I can't do it right now. I'm going to go to Strafe. I'm going to try to select it. I got to find it first. There it is. I can't do it. I'm clicking. It's not happening. They need to just let me select it, and if I want to do this, it just needs to clear the hotkey number 2.
Wipe it out? Yeah.
That would be fine. It's just so clumsy right now. The system is so... It definitely needs to be reworked before launch. But besides that, I don't really care about the category thing. That's fine. I mean, I'm not exactly thrilled about it. I much preferred the way the UI was prior to this. I think it was great. This is kind of a little... I don't want to say uncomfortable, but I think clumsy is definitely the word. Kevin, I'm sure you've gotten a chance to play with it. How do you feel about it? Do you kind of agree with those sentiments, or...?
There's actually... Some of the points you brought up is not things that I had really thought about. I know I didn't actually try changing the hotkeys. I was like, hey, so this is the hotkey for this spell. Like, I didn't even think twice about it.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, I just immediately set it on Elective Mode. I mean, I figured, hey, this is a pretty cool way to have new players kind of just learn the game. They won't really be worried about, oh, which hotkey do I use for which skill. They'll just say, like I said, oh, left mouse click is for this and right mouse click is for this, and that'll be that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a lot of the players are going to be like, well, what the hell? Why can't I use both of these spells? And they won't know about Elective Mode. So I do think that they need to move, at the very least, move that option right to the skill UI panel so that people can check and uncheck it right there, just so they know. But otherwise, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but it seems to me like they're pretty much gearing this up to make a console version. If you think about it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you have the L and R buttons as the left and right click, and then you have the 4, X, Y, A, B buttons as your 1, 2, 3, 4 hotkeys, and then boom, there you go.
Whether or not they want to outright say
that
that's the case, it's true.
I mean, I'm not saying that they only made these changes to make the console game. Obviously, they wouldn't do that, but I mean, they made these changes. I am saying that they made them in mind of the future potential console release.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see why that's too far-fetched. I don't see why that would be even a bad statement to make, because I think that there's definitely truth behind that. We know that they're working towards a console version, so I I mean, and this isn't actually an argument. I don't know what your feelings on this are, Jesse, but this is an argument that I see a lot of PC gamers say for their being uninterested in having console ports, because they say, well, what's going to happen is that they're going to dumb down the game for the sake of the console release. What do you think about that, Jesse?
Isn't it usually the other way around? Isn't it usually a console game that they bring to the PC, and that's why it sucks so bad? And I wonder if maybe this is like a reverse. It's a PC game that they're putting, they're creating for the consoles as well, but because it's a PC game that it should be too. I agree that I think a lot of ports suck, but this I don't think this will at all. I don't see. I was just looking at because like you had said, I downloaded the new patch and was just like, well, I'll get to it, and just never did. So I didn't see the elective mode yet, and so I was reading about it, and I guess that's the bone they throw to the PC users or longtime Diablo fans. I'm not sure.
Right.
Because I see it's like primary attack and secondary attack of your mouse. That's pretty straightforward, and that's the way it always was, pretty much. And then there's defensive, that's your first action bar quick slot. And those are put there automatically. Then, like that's just the way it is assigned. And then if you want to change stuff, besides the 3 unique additional abilities that will be placed in. Right, but if you want to change stuff, you turn on elective mode, and then you can make it whatever you want.
Right.
And I hadn't even thought of that, so I'm kind of glad that you brought that up, Dennis. Like, I didn't even think about swapping them between different hotkeys. I just thought, oh, defensive is 1, and whatever is 2, and 3, and primary is left click, secondary is right click, and
I didn't
think about that.
The general idea behind that's great. I just think they need to work on how it's implemented, because like I showed and like I explained, if you want to switch a skill. If I want to switch a skill that's on my hotkeys 1 through 4 to left or right mouse button, I have to deselect it first and then go back and put it in. And it just, like, when it comes to how comfortable people are with the UI, that's not a comfortable thing to have to do.
I mean,
it's not intuitive either. That's the other thing that's obnoxious. It's not intuitive.
Yeah, right off the bat, people won't even know about elective mode for the most part. Like, the only reason why I know about it is because I saw it in the patch notes. If I didn't read the patch notes, I would never know.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to go digging through the customization options to see that even exists. It'd make a lot of sense if it was just a checkbox on the UI. And,
right.
As long as they change the ability to select skills you already have bound to something else, I think that I'm okay with the system. But back to the argument against taking a PC game and porting it to console because they're worried that the PC version will get dumbed down. I think that that's a fair argument, and I don't know if game developers, I'm sure they're going to argue against that and say, oh, it's definitely not happening. But they're obviously always in the back of their mind. They're like, oh yeah, we plan to bring this to console. Let's try to not make it more difficult for ourselves once that happens.
Is it necessarily dumbing down the game? I don't know if I'd say that.
Well, I guess that's a harsh word, but simplifying because there's constraints with a controller as opposed to a mouse and keyboard. You have to simplify.
Right.
It can't be as complex.
I understand the simplification, but I'm saying just because it's simple, does it make it any less of a... I'm not sure what word. I don't want to say interactive. I'm not sure what the word I'm looking for here is.
Fun?
Maybe. I don't think it takes anything away from Diablo as a whole.
No, I don't either. But I mean, I guess the point is that there is definitely a point to be made, and it's fair to say that occurs. Even I know that Guild Wars 2 is supposed to be coming to consoles at some point. Some people may not know about that yet, but I've heard word that that's going to be happening. I think it was mentioned in one of their conference calls or something. The guys at ArenaNet or wherever, there was a conference call and they talked about potential Guild Wars 2 on consoles at some point. And you look at the Guild Wars 2 system, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's pretty basic, it's pretty small, there's not a lot. It's not like you look at like World of Warcraft and you've got 80 skills bound. It's nothing like that. It's simpler. And again,
Torchlight.
And
Torchlight was a PC game just like Diablo, and they brought it over to the console. And I got a chance to play the console version. I wrote like a little review for Torchlight fan site, and I was really impressed with how great of a job they did at porting it to the console. Like, it felt like a good game. It didn't feel like, this obviously doesn't belong on the console. I was impressed, and I was surprised. So, I mean, I'm kind of hopeful for Diablo 3.
Yeah, I don't think the console version will. I think the console version will do great. To be honest, I think that this is for Blizzard. This is the perfect game for them to put on console. Certainly, RTSs would do awful.
Yeah, you ever played StarCraft 64?
Oh my God, such a mess.
Greatest game ever.
and then
did you really seriously play that, Jesse?
Yeah. Well, no. I had a friend who bought it. And I'll never forget as long as I live. Go look this up. It may be on YouTube. The commercials they used to have for StarCraft 64, where this kid was like, yeah! And he was so into it, and there's like explosions going on around him. And then it's the screen, and he's like placing buildings. It was so funny.
I mean, and the kicker was that there were features in StarCraft 64 that weren't in StarCraft. Like, just simple things, like you could rally your workers right to the mineral line from your command center, and they would automatically mine. Couldn't do that in StarCraft 1.
Right.
Like, and not only that, but there was extra content. Like, there were secret maps in the StarCraft 64 game that were not on the PC.
They had to make up for it somehow. Let's be honest.
It was a terrible idea. So I guess we can move on from the skill and rune system.
We have a bunch of patch notes to go over.
Yeah, and we'll try to. I know Jesse actually has to leave pretty shortly, so try to expedite the process. I did want to mention the fact chat channels, the current iteration. I just wanted to show people this. So currently, chat channels just basically look like StarCraft 2 chat channels. Yellow box, you can type stuff in here, and I'm not even in a channel right now. Let me go into the hardcore channel and type stuff. And yeah, that's it. You just filter through the channels: Witch Doctor, Monk, Hardcore, Trade, Wizard, Looking for Group, and then there's a replicated version of that, literally the same list backwards. I don't know why, but it exists. Some people don't like this current system. Again, it is very similar to the StarCraft. It looks differently visually. The interface is differently, but it's very similar in its function to the StarCraft 2 chat system. And I don't know what people expected, because there have been complaints raised that it's not like the D2 system, the old BattleNet chat system. This is BattleNet 2.0. This is what it's going to look like, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Yeah, BattleNet 2.0 is the new anti-social social media.
Because nobody uses it.
Well, I mean, it's really like, I don't know. That's the one thing I don't like about BattleNet 2.0 is that I feel like there are millions of players, because it tells me that there's millions of players, but I feel like I'm the only person there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you guys get the same feeling, but I don't know, man.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I definitely didn't expect the Diablo 2 interface, but Bashiak had told us at the press event that they were, basically he implied that they were 100 times better than StarCraft 2 channels. I don't remember his exact wording.
100 times?
100. 100. No, but I mean, I don't remember. Basically, they were much better than StarCraft 2 channels, and I mean, I don't know. I'm really disappointed with this system, and I really hope that they're gonna work on it a lot more.
Yep. I mean, honestly, it's about what I expected, and I don't know. I mean, I guess it's different for me because I personally don't care too much about chat channels. That's nothing that I'm heavily invested in, nor have I ever really been. In fact, in WoW, I always left all chat channels, even guild chat. I hated my guildmates, didn't even want to talk to them. I took whispers, and that was it. I just don't care.
If you look at it this way, there's really no room for any kind of clan system. Like, where's the channel going to be?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they could incorporate it into the in-game, just put that on the bottom right.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
They could do that. And quickly, I just want to mention there's a pause game feature while you're playing by yourself now. If you hit escape and go into the menu options, it pauses the game. So that's new. New items were also added. This is something, I mean, this is all going to change and stuff between now and release, but new items were added. BattleNet interface update. Kevin, what did you want to cover over for that?
Specifically for items, before we jumped into the interface stuff, I did want to mention that they added Wirt's original leg, which is kind of clever. That, and then the Herodric hamburger, for whatever reason. Not exactly sure what the point of it was. Probably just for some funsies, but yeah. Interface stuff was pretty much just the chat channel stuff. A buddy of mine had created a mock-up of what he believed the BattleNet 2.0 interface on Diablo 3 should look like, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been working together, but like it's 95% him and 5% me. Like, he's kind of just giving me a mock-up and saying, hey, like, what do you think about this? And I kind of give my input and, just some of my thoughts, some ideas, like, hey, why don't you move this here and put this here? But otherwise, it's pretty much him doing all the designing.
It's pretty cool. It looks pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with it.
Yeah, if you scroll down to the last version, I'm really happy with that one. I mean, obviously Blizzard's not going to do the exact same thing. I'm really not expecting them to, but I'm kind of hoping that it'll just shed some light on what could potentially happen. I don't know. I guess we kind of just have to wait and see what happens. But I don't know. I almost feel like the entire Diablo 3 battle interface, it just looks temporary. I'm just not a huge fan of it. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and his solution for chat channels here is pretty good. And I don't think this is too far-fetched for something that Blizzard could potentially do. All they would have to do is make a collapsible, larger chat menu. That's pretty simple. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
And even have the ability to move stuff around in terms of where you want to put it. I mean, that could be a possibility as well, you know?
I mean, they already have that for StarCraft 2.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and also you want to quickly go over the jeweler changes. Wasn't there some discussion about that on Diablo fans?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not exactly sure what the deal is with that. Basically just that they changed the interface of the jeweler to potentially do something with our Runestone systems. I mean, obviously they didn't tell us, and we don't really know. I kind of just checked out the screenshots that they had given us. It's right there. I'll link you to it if you want to pull that up also.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting. There's a bunch of skill rune kind of logos and icons and whatnot. I'm not exactly sure what the deal is with it. Just mentioning it, thought people might be interested.
So they pulled this. This was from data mining, and we're assuming that this is going to be in the game in some iteration, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah. So jeweler user face update, and I'm interested to see what that little rune system thingy is there on the left. Kevin, did you mute yourself?
No, I was done talking.
We just wanted silence.
I think everyone's staring at the picture, trying to figure out what's going on there.
Speechless. Like I honestly don't know what it is. I don't even have any
go on the
potential
outside
ideas.
and then form some like epic super jewel in the middle.
Could be some epic.
With their powers combined, they form the Captain Planet of Jewels.
Yeah, maybe this is how you just combine gems. You know, boom, you put the 3 gems in, pops the new gem in the middle. I mean, I honestly have no idea. Then, if that's the case, I don't know what the deal is with the skill rune.
It looks like a game. What was that game that you pushed down in this little bubble and dice popped around?
Sorry?
Yes, that's what this is. It's Sanctuary Sorry.
If you press on the rune things, it's kind of like Simon, too.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, they're coming out with Risk StarCraft and World of Warcraft Monopoly, so I think we're gonna see Diablo. Sorry,
Risk StarCraft is already bought. I can't. I love Risk.
Really?
That's a terrific game.
Yeah.
I hate board games. I get so bored with them. I have to have I must have ADD. I can't fathom not having ADD with my impatience that I have for certain things. Board games being one of them. It's just a fact. All right. Well, we are going to be wrapping up with user questions, but Jesse, if you need to skedaddle now, you can. We can part
I want to
ways.
hear the user questions. I'm interested what they are.
Oh my gosh, Jesse!
Don't boot me yet.
I said Jesse, leave.
You were like, get the hell out.
All right. So we got a whole bunch of questions over on our Facebook page, and
I want to cover something else in the patch notes, if you don't mind.
Jeez, I'm crow, Kevin. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's pretty big. Like they removed the health and health glow bonus from intelligence and
right. Intelligence changed. So basically, what happened was they smartened up. Because adding
this is what we talked about in that week.
Yeah.
And I posted this on the forums. Other people posted the same thing on the forums. I mean, yeah.
So it used to be, if you got strength, it increased your health, and it also increased barbarian damage. And then if you got, what was it? If you got intelligence, it increased wizard and witch doctor damage, but it also increased the amount of health you picked up from health globes and the radius or something. I was like, that's the stupidest thing. You don't. It's not an actual legitimate benefit.
Right.
And so it's now changed to resistance, increased resistance, right?
Yep. 1/10 of a point for resistances per point in intelligence, which doesn't really seem all that much, but once you get a certain amount, I mean, obviously it'll add up. Every 10 points you have, you get a point plus resistance.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said strength increased health. That's wrong. It increases armor.
Right. Vitality does health. Sorry,
right.
I wasn't really paying attention.
Strength was armor and barbarian damage, and then intelligence was to increase wizard and witch doctor damage and health globe stuff. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. That's not actual benefit. So changing it to resistances, that makes perfect sense. I'm okay with that. Good job, Blizzard.
Yes,
Smart move.
That They added advanced tooltips to the gameplay options to permanently enable them. Auction house changes that we talked about last week went in. Runestone changes. They did a lot of balancing changes for passive and active skills for all the classes. Obviously, we don't have to get into them. I mean, just a bunch of number changes. A lot of them are from their internal testing, again, because we don't have access to most of these. A couple of follower skill changes, not a big deal. They added a bunch of new items, like Dan said before, but they also added new affixes.
That's right.
Fear, stun, freeze, immobilize, chill, blind, slow, and knockback.
And that's all on hit stuff, right? Chance on hit.
Yes, exactly. And they all kind of seem like crowd control type affixes. Obviously, knockback, slow, etc. Vendors, they made some vendor changes. Whites will appear less. Whites will appear less, and item cost has been reduced. They made a couple monster changes and bug fixes. I mean, nothing major. More gold is dropped, and they kind of did a passing tuning of the health and damage for all the monsters. So I did notice some people were saying, well, the game got harder. Well, it might have, yes, because they changed the health and damage for the monsters and whatnot. But otherwise, that is a very brief run through of the patch notes.
Yeah, and people say that every time the patch resets because they lose all their gear and they think the game's a million times harder. True. I think that's been said every single patch for the past 3 or 4 patches.
Except this time it's probably, it's potentially true.
Right, yeah. All right, first question coming from David on our Facebook page asking, what rune system do you prefer after checking the new ones, the beta considering, yada, 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 farming, AH, stuff like that. He's just asking if we prefer the new or old system. Obviously, we talked about it a lot in this episode. I think that both have their pros and cons. I think my concerns with the Runestone system were the fact that if I wanted to have a specific spell, I had to find a runestone for it. That kind of frustrated me. I also understand the issue that people are having with removing runestones, taking away from the item hunt game, but I think it's important to keep in mind that the items are still there. Weapons, armor, all that stuff still exists. You're going to have to hunt for all that stuff. Overall, I would say I'm pretty happy with the system. I think some changes could take place. I would like to see like a leveling progression so you could still increase runes. Maybe as you level up, you get experience for runes as you use them. I don't know. That's not going to happen anytime soon. But overall, I think I'm going to give it a thumbs up. Jesse, thumbs up, thumbs down, new rune system?
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
I like the new one, yeah.
What about you, Kevin? How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thumbs up. And then what you said, leveling up your runes, that potentially be a great idea to allow us to, room to advance once we hit Inferno. So
yeah,
great idea. I thumb that up too.
Maybe we'll see if that takes place. That'd be great. That'd be great. Will Blizzard offer D3 in the Battle.net store for digital download as pre-release with beta access? There should be an early digital download. I'm pretty sure that's what they've done with their past few titles and WoW expansions.
Yep.
What is it, like a week before or a day before? How do they usually do that?
I thought it was a couple of days, but somebody told me it was as far as a week for StarCraft 2. I guess I just don't remember.
Question here asking if we think that Blizzard will send 100,000 beta keys to EU as well as they did for the US. I'm not sure, but as we mentioned earlier, there are European beta fan sites that have been giving out keys. And there's also that big key giveaway that's happening on CVG, Computer and Video Gaming. And I don't know. I wonder if they're going to be doing another wave. I thought they mentioned it. I don't know if these beta keys are going to be it for that, though. I really don't know. I guess, Kevin, you don't know either, huh?
Nope.
Yeah. Question from Nathan. What is your opinion on crafting? Do you believe there are some great items to be crafted, or would you spend more time running bosses for items? I think that it's supposed to be slightly less strong than the highest tier of gear, I think.
Which would make sense.
Yeah.
Obviously, they don't want you to just not do anything and get the best items.
Right. Yeah. So I do believe that that's how that is going to work. Kevin, have you grabbed any questions or no?
I have one, and I can't pronounce his name, although it looks like Kush, so I'm calling him Kush.
Kush is
So, how much character diversity is there going to be in Diablo 3? Let's say two different people are playing Demon Hunter. What sets them apart? So, just very quickly run through it. Itemization is the key one, other than, obviously, skills and skill runes. There's itemization, which includes crafting, and item dyes, and gems, which is socketing, and actually, I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Yeah. So basically, itemization and skill runes, and then they each break up into little different tiers with a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, that's character diversity in a nutshell.
And I will be taking one more question here from Eric. He states the thing that he doesn't like about the rune system the way it is now, essentially, is that when you look at a character, if you look at another character, you don't have the awe that you could have in the past, where, oh, look at all these awesome rune stones that they found, and they've got all this great stuff. With the new rune system, everyone can more or less be the same once they're level 60, because there are no level runes now. And that's a fair point. I think that what I'd like to restate something that Bashiok said is the fact that the biggest differentiating factor that'll be between characters is the gear. And it's kind of always been that case. Is that a fair statement? Like in Diablo 2, it was really gear that set players apart, not their skill selection.
Right, I agree with you. I mean, potentially it could have been. I mean, like you were saying with World of Warcraft, like there were specs that you would use, and for Diablo 2, there are particular builds that you could do, and then you have a couple points left over. You can put it into whatever you want. Although most of the people used one particular skill, or some used another. I mean, obviously, it was personal preference. But yeah, otherwise, if you were both making a hammer paladin, you were both, 9 times out of 10 using the exact same skills.
Yeah.
And that's that.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that that's the point, that at some point it got to a point where people who were playing Diablo 2, they just all went to various online communities, found the best builds, and they just replicated those builds. And if you weren't doing that, then it got to the point where, okay, I've been leveling up my character for weeks now, and now all of a sudden I realize my build is crap, so I have to go re-level. That's fun.
Right.
I understand the points of both sides. Overall, while it may be more, quote, casual, the current system, I also know that in terms of time commitment, for me personally, I think it's a good thing. I'm comfortable with it. I don't game nearly as much as I used to, as odd as that may seem. I used to spend so much time on games, but I'm so busy now with everything else going on, I can't devote 8 hours a day to gaming. And I'm okay with these systems for that reason. Just being honest, that's all. And Jesse, are you kind of along the same way, or?
I am the same way.
Yeah.
It's for running a channel that's all about video games. You figured I would have all the time in the world to play video games, but I don't.
Yeah. It'd be nice, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. It would be very nice.
I miss the days when I wasn't making money off of video games and I could enjoy them.
I think the big... that's why, like I had mentioned earlier when people said that we were talking about all the different changes and how you guys, the two of you, said it dumbed down the game. I think I'm okay with that. I don't know if dumbed down's the word, but I'm okay with it because anything to make the game simpler, easier, better, faster to get in and get out of is good enough for me. It saves me time, and I think it will also make the game last longer. Because let's be honest, Diablo is unlike Star Wars or WoW, where once you beat the main storyline, a lot of people after they do that are going to be like, all right, well, I'm done.
Yeah, no, it's definitely the case. And I think it's important to realize, too, that that's not to take away from the people who do have a lot of time and want to spend a lot of time on their characters. Because
we're jealous is what we're saying. Yeah, we're not... we're jealous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the item hunt's still there. People can still spend their 8 hours a day, and that's going to yield a couple of things. Greater gear for their characters, but also now with the auction house, potentially money from it. If you can devote this kind of time, you're not only going to be more decked out than people who don't, but you'll also be able to sell some of the items you find and make some money off of it. So there you go. Hardcore players definitely have incentive to play hardcore still. Not the mode, but they have incentive to play it.
Play the game in a hardcore fashion.
Exactly. And I mean, I can't understand how anyone who's a hardcore gamer who is able and enjoys spending 8 hours a day playing games could complain about Diablo 3, because you will make money off of this game. What are you complaining about?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, since I've started doing these, all these community-related stuff with Diablo, I definitely noticed I'm a lot more critical, and it's like, I don't know, back in the day, it'd be like, yes, I can't wait to just sit down and play Diablo for like 100 hours. Whereas it's like, oh, I gotta make sure I take screenshots and, you know, record. And although, I mean, I guess I'm preaching to the choir when I'm talking to you guys, so.
A year from now, 1 year from now, we will be featuring on DiabloCast the first self-made millionaire from Diablo 3. You just wait. It's gonna happen.
He'll be
Awesome.
13.
Yeah, right?
13. And I will hate him with every ounce of my being. Yeah. Please, yeah.
Man. All right. That'll wrap up this week's episode. Lots of new stuff, lots of stuff to chat about. I'm sure we'll even have some spillover next week. Might still be talking about runes, who knows. Thank you guys for watching this episode of DiabloCast and hanging out with us, listening to our opinions. We will be back next Friday. I think Friday will be the set date from now on. I think that sounds good to me. All right, so for Jesse and for Kevin, this has been Dennis, and we will see you guys next time.
Take it easy, guys.
Adios.
Now you can leave, Jesse. Be gone.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Take it easy.
Later, Jesse.
Like,
Oh, good thing we got rid of that guy.
God, I can't stand him.